What's up, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome back to Ages of Film. Or if this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button while you're here. And if you haven't subscribed already and you're enjoying the content, go ahead and do so. It's another way to help out the channel. As you can tell by the title, today we are doing another director's filmography ranking. I've done a few of these already on my channel. You can go check those out in the archives. I think I have a playlist of the director filmographies that I've done. I've done John Carpenter. I've done Wes Craven. I've done M. Night Shyamalan. I've done the Coen brothers. I've done Zack Snyder. And now we're doing Ridley Scott. So you can go check out some of those others in the archives if you are interested. But I'm not doing this alone. This is actually a collab that I'm doing with a couple other YouTube buddies of mine. Jack Petrie, who we've had on the channel, is also doing this video as well. And our boy Bryan Lomax, who we've had on the channel multiple times, is also doing Ridley Scott filmography. So we're all dropping these on the same day. So you guys, after you watch mine, go check out their ranking videos. I guarantee you they're going to look different than mine based on kind of what I'm hearing from those guys and kind of our conversations leading up to this. They're going to look different, and that's totally fine. But yeah, go check out their channels. Go check out their ranking videos. Give them a sub and a thumbs up. Let them know Clayton sent you. All right, so before I get into this video, just a reminder, this is just my opinion, guys. No need to be upset or offended by anything I have to say or any ranking placement here. Just my opinion, all right? Some of these I've only seen once, so it's possible if I come back to it in the future, my thoughts could change. Other of these I've seen multiple times, and my opinion on them are pretty settled and set in stone. So there are 29 movies in all that I'm ranking here. He did do a couple of TV movies. I'm not going to be including those in this ranking. These are just his theatrical feature films that we're ranking here. 29 of them. We're going to be going worst to best as always. Let's get rocking. Coming in at the bottom, number 29 for me is Legend from 1985. Starring Tom Cruise and the great Tim Curry. 1.5 star film for me. I'll just say, and I'm not going to spend too much time on these. I'm just going to be kind of powering through each of them, talking about a couple things. But Legend for me, just a dumb film. I'm just not interested at all. It's kind of this fantasy movie with unicorns and little fairy people and a giant devil played by Tim Curry. I couldn't invest. I didn't care about any of the characters. The story wasn't interesting at all to me. And character and story are what mean the most to me in any movie. So if you don't have either of those things going for you, I mean, you're just not going to get much love from me. I will say, as far on a positive note, Ridley Scott, as always, does a very good job with kind of the production design, the world building here, the costume, the makeup, especially on Tim Curry. Very good. But yeah, just from a script, story, character standpoint, just uninteresting, boring, dull, mundane, and a number of things in the script also that just didn't really make sense to me either. And that may be because I wasn't fully invested in the film. But yeah, Legend, 1.5 star film, number 29 for me. Coming in at number 28, I have Someone to Watch Over Me from 1987. The movie directly following Legend in his filmography chronologically. 2-star film. I think this is a very forgettable film though for me. That's one thing. Like as I was getting ready to record, I was looking at my ranking here and I was like, what was that movie really even about again? Like I had to actually sit and think about that movie. It's just a very forgettable movie. There's nothing memorable about it. There's nothing that stuck with me. I don't think it really had anything to say. Again, I didn't really care about the characters in the movie. The main protagonist guy that we're following is kind of a womanizer, can't stay in a committed relationship, and he doesn't really change at all in the movie either. So, just there's not really much going for it. The story's kind of intriguing as far as like the script itself, and the overt, direct story within the script is pretty good. It's kind of interesting. Had some things going for it, but overall, it's just not a film I'm probably ever going to come back to because it's a very forgettable movie to me. So that would be my number 28. Coming in at number 27, we have Exodus, Gods and Kings from 2014. A movie that technically, on the technical front of things, was very, very good. Ridley Scott, again, does a very good job at building the world here of ancient Egypt, setting the tone and putting you in that time. The costumes look amazing. The production design looks amazing. The score was pretty good. The sound, all the stuff on the technical level, cinematography, all that stuff was very, very good in this movie. And that's why it gets 2 stars. Where it takes some massive hits for me as a Christian, I think that anytime you give a biblical story into the hands of a secular filmmaker or studio to make a movie out of that, it's not going to go very well. I think there's really only been, I think maybe one biblical story account that was actually handled really well and stayed pretty faithful to the text of scripture, and that was the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston, a movie that I love actually. But yeah, this one it was inaccurate to the biblical and historical accounts. It didn't represent the character of Moses at all, or Ramses at all, or God at all. I was not a fan of how they tried to incorporate, the biblical account and biblical facts of the story into the film. It wasn't for me. Again, it's, not everyone is a Christian. I get that. Not everybody believes in the Bible or these characters. I get that. But as someone who does, it's just not a film that I care to watch again or, expose myself to seeing again. So there you go. Exodus, Gods and Kings is number 27. Moving into number 26, a movie that might get me into some trouble here, so I'll probably just keep this one short. I have G.I. Jane from 1997. Another 2-star film for me. Again, the world building was good. Some of the action was pretty cool. I like the military setup and style of everything that he had going on. All that stuff was pretty good. I do like Demi Moore as the lead. She was, fairly entertaining to me. For me, what brings this movie down quite a bit is the story and the narrative, and what I felt was a very clear, overt political agenda that's being pushed in my face, which I don't like having in film. I don't mind political discussions being raised in a movie, but when there's a very clear, overt political agenda that's trying to be pushed in your face, I'm not a fan of that. And that's basically what this whole film was. The agenda or the political view about women should be able to do everything that men do, and they should be able to be on the battlefield in combat units and in special operations unit. I'm not going to go into all that stuff, whether or not I agree with that political opinion or any of that stuff. I don't want to get political here on the channel, but I'm not a fan on either side of the political spectrum when a clear, overt political agenda is trying to be shoved in your face while you're watching a movie. I'm not coming to the movie to watch CNN or Fox. I'm coming to a movie to watch a compelling story with good characters, and entertaining. So, and I don't feel like this movie gave that to me. Next up, coming in at number 25, we have Napoleon, from 2023, just last year. Yeah, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and on the surface, this should have seemed like a movie that was going to be really good. I mean, you have Ridley Scott as a director, who's a great filmmaker, and Joaquin Phoenix as the lead role, who's a great actor. And for some reason, it just didn't work. It just didn't come together. I think part of the big problem here was in the writing and in the script, which again, Ridley Scott usually doesn't handle the writing. He usually just comes on board to direct, do the actual shooting process, some of the pre stuff and some of the post stuff, but production stuff. But yeah, the story here, the script here just didn't really work. It just felt like someone just sat down, made some bullet points or a timeline of Napoleon's life, and then made a movie out of it and said, hey, let's make a movie of these timelines and just put that into a film. But this movie didn't really have anything to say. There was no lesson to take away from. I didn't come away with a new appreciation or a different understanding of Napoleon. And that's what like the biographical dramas should do. Biological dramas like this, like the Lincoln movie, like in any other type of biographical type of drama, dramatic feature film, when it's about a person and a person's life from history, you should come away with either a new understanding of that person, historical person, seeing them in a different way, maybe having empathy for their life and their struggles, or come away with a greater appreciation for that person and what they did for the betterment of mankind or whatever. Neither of those two things were there for me with Napoleon. I didn't come away with a greater appreciation of anything that he did, and I didn't come away seeing him in a new light, in a new way. It literally just felt like someone Googled a bunch of facts about Napoleon, put in a script timeline, and then said, all right, let's just shoot this and just go in a order of Napoleon's life. There was no substance to the story, to the film. It looked great, and that's why it gets 2 stars. You know, the directing by Ridley Scott was really good. The world building, the setting, all that stuff was really good. It just fell flat again. Character building, storytelling just didn't work. I also felt like Joaquin was this may be the most mundane performance of Joaquin Phoenix I've ever seen. It felt like he just didn't even want to be there, or it just felt like he was just kind of reading off lines or just kind of getting a paycheck, but didn't really have an interest to give a deep performance to that character. I don't know. I could be wrong. I probably am. But yeah, Napoleon just didn't cut it for me. But I guess of these 2-star movies, I would be most likely to come back and revisit Napoleon, because the movies I have below it, either like Legend, it's just really poorly made and doesn't really offer me anything, or they have like G.I. Jane or Exodus that have stories that may be better written from a script standpoint, but are stories that I don't care to subject myself to again. Whereas Napoleon, there's not really anything in there that rubs me the wrong way. It's just a movie that it's just kind of, it's cool to look at. It's eye candy, but it's nothing really more than that. So Napoleon is my number 25. Coming in at number 24, we have The Counselor from 2013. A movie that has some talent in it, name-wise. Like, it's got some names in the movie. And again, directed by Ridley Scott. But for some reason, and I can't really pinpoint what it is, it just didn't connect for me. I didn't really care about the story or the characters. I didn't feel like this movie really had anything to say about anything. Just kind of entertainment, and it was entertaining, you know, and the performances were pretty good. The directing by Ridley Scott was pretty good, which is why it still falls in that 2.5 star decent tier. I wouldn't say this is a bad film, but I also wouldn't necessarily call this a good film. It's kind of forgettable to me as well. It's not really a film that stuck with me or moved me really in any way. It kept my attention. It was entertaining for 2 hours. And so The Counselor is number 24. Coming in at number 23, we have Matchstick Men. And I'll just go ahead and say this is the first 3-star movie on this list. So everything else from here on up, I would consider a good film. And this is a good film. It's got, obviously, Nicolas Cage is the lead. And it's got another guy, I always forget his name, but he's also a pretty talented actor. He's done some good work, good stuff. I like this movie. I did. I had a good time with it. I do think it actually had some heart to it, with this dad that kind of went down the route of crime and went down the wrong path. It cost him a lot, you know, a relationship with his daughter, and he's trying to kind of make up for it. And yeah, there was definitely there's an emotional connection there that worked for me that the films below this didn't really have. But I did invest in that relationship. And I also thought Nicolas Cage was very entertaining as always. And it was an interesting story as well, kind of teaching this girl how to be a con artist. And then there's, you know, something that happens. I don't want to spoil any of these movies for you guys, but something that happens in the third act that kind of catches you off guard a little bit. And it was intriguing. You know, I walked away from this one thinking, wow, okay, kind of a crazy ending, but an appropriate ending. And it was paid off well. So yeah, it kept my attention, had something to say, had some heart to it, was entertaining, a good time. Matchstick Men from 2003 is my number 23. Coming in at number 22, I have Hannibal from 2001, a sequel to Silence of the Lambs. We had Anthony Hopkins coming back playing Hannibal, and yeah, just another more great time with Hannibal Lecter. Some crazy stuff that goes on in this movie, especially in that third act, with a very memorable scene in the third act. If you've seen the movie, you know what scene I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, because it's a very graphic, gnarly scene, but very much Hannibal Lecter. And then the ending, when he's on the plane and someone comes to sit down and visit with him, you're really concerned for that person. Because obviously it's Hannibal Lecter that he's sitting next to. So, fun movie, entertaining, horror film that's much kind of has the same feel to it as Silence of the Lambs a little bit. It's not nearly as good as Silence, but it's still in that same type of tone and spirit. Anthony Hopkins still really, really good as Hannibal Lecter. So, yeah, Hannibal would be my number 22. Coming in at number 21, we have the most recent film in Ridley Scott's filmography, Gladiator 2. Yes, I just recently reviewed the original Gladiator. here's where the sequel falls. I just saw Gladiator 2 yesterday and really enjoyed it. A good time. You know, it did for me about what I wanted it to do. I didn't need it to be on level of the first one. I didn't need it to be a 5-star film because it wasn't going to. It wasn't going to be on the level of the first one, and I didn't need it to. I just needed it to entertain me and give me a good time, and that's exactly what it did. I enjoyed this film. Again, the world building was really good by Ridley Scott. Great film editing in this movie. Really, really good film editing. Great cinematography. The score was on point again. And I had a good time with it. I liked it. It was a good film. It's very flawed. You know, it's definitely got issues. Some of the CGI just didn't hold up. The CGI sharks didn't really look good. Very noticeably CGI. The CGI monkeys, again, didn't really look good. Noticeably CGI. With the director that is known for not really doing CGI. You know, Ridley Scott, you know, does a lot more world building practically than leaning on CGI. And here the CGI just really didn't hold up very well. I also didn't think that Lucius was nearly the protagonist that Maximus was in the first one. And there's several other issues. I thought the third act was really rushed in building the plot to getting Denzel as the standing emperor. We have this whole film where he's trying to get there, and then he's only there for like 10 minutes before, you know, what happens. So it's definitely problematic, which is why I can't really go any higher than 3. But 3-star film, good time, entertaining, and yeah, enjoyed it. Gladiator 2, my number 21. Number 20, we have The Duelists from 1977. This was Ridley Scott's first feature film, theatrical feature film of his career, and was really good. I enjoy this. This is a 3.5-star movie for me. Some really good sword fighting choreography here. I liked the characters. I was intrigued with the story. I thought it was pretty well. The script was pretty well handled. The directing it wasn't where it would be later on in Ridley Scott's career, but it was still, I thought, pretty well shot and pretty well made. And I do think it had some heart to it, especially in the third act. I think there's some stuff there that is kind of moving and had a good payoff to it. So, yeah, The Duelists would be my number 20. Coming in at number 19, I have Thelma and Louise from 1991, 3.5-star film. A film that I know a lot of people love, and I do think this is a very good film. It's a very good film. I do enjoy it. It's, you know, great performances by the 2 lead actresses here. And, you know, young Brad Pitt in there, who's also really good and entertaining. Definitely has some heart to it, but I don't find it very rewatchable. I've seen it multiple times, but I just don't find it very rewatchable. I don't really ever have an urge to come back and watch it again. And then I also just don't know that it from a storytelling standpoint, that it had much to say to me personally. I mean, obviously you feel bad for these ladies, but they also made some decisions along the way that have consequences. And the fact that they just, you know, a lot of people see them as heroic women characters, but they were also criminals. Like, let's keep that in mind. They were also criminals. They're not heroes. They are criminals. And they could have chosen to, you know, do the right thing and turn themselves in and face whatever came. But they chose to go on the run to not, and whether or not law enforcement is in the right or in the wrong, you still have an obligation to be a responsible adult for your actions. And the fact that they chose to take the actions that they chose, all right, there you go. That's what happens. But yeah, overall, still a great movie. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Coming in at number 18, I have A Good Year from 2006, 3.5-star film starring Russell Crowe. Good film. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to like it. I don't know why, but just from the cover and some of the stuff I was reading about it, I just didn't think I was going to like it. And I actually came away really enjoying it. I think a lot of it was in the performance by Russell Crowe. I thought he did a really good job in that performance. And the story definitely had some heart to it, in the way that it unfolds in each act, and seeing the character change and character development of our lead character. I think it had something to say. I think it had some heart to it. It was well directed. I thought the script was well done. And I really liked the opening panning shot that we see in the film by Ridley Scott as well. Really good movie. I just don't know it's going to really have much rewatch value to it. And for me, for a movie to get to that 4-star level, it has to have at least all three things going for it. It's got to be well made. It's got to have an emotional effect or something to say in the story. And it's got to have a pretty high rewatch value. So if one of those three is missing, it's going to be really, really hard for a film to get to that 4-star tier for me. And this one just kind of lacks that rewatch value. It's really good. I know that when I do watch it, I'm going to enjoy it, but it's not a movie I'm going to have an urge or, an impulse to come back and watch. It's not a movie that really lingers with me, or a movie that I think about much. So yeah, A Good Year, number 18. Coming in at number 17, we have The Martian from 2015. Might be a surprise to some people. This seems to be one that a lot of people love. I have it number 17, 3.5-star film. Really good movie. Matt Damon was really good, entertaining. I thought the directing again was great. The production design, the cinematography was gorgeous. Some funny moments of humor that land and stick for me. But I just find that it's a lesser, an inferior version of Apollo 13. Apollo 13 by Ron Howard, a movie that I love, one of my favorite movies. And this just felt like a very weaker, inferior version of Apollo 13. It didn't build the suspense that Apollo 13 did. It didn't have the tension. I wasn't invested as much with the characters as I was with Apollo 13. And it was hitting a lot of those same beats and just didn't do it as well, in my opinion. It's like Apollo 13 mixed with Castaway, and yet not as good as either film. So yeah, 3.5-star film. I like it. I really enjoy it. Really good film. But yeah, that's it. Coming in at number 16, we have House of Gucci from 2021 with Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Al Pacino. A really good film. And entertaining. Again, not one that I was expecting to like, but came away really enjoying. And I think a part of that is on Ridley Scott's directing, and part of it is on the performances here by the actors. Really good acting across the board by everybody. They really elevated my viewing experience here with this movie. And then that combined with the really great directing by Ridley Scott, his shot choices, stuff he does with the camera, the colors, the production design, all that stuff enhanced the viewing experience to where if neither of those things were there, I could definitely see this one dropping a number of places just from the story and characters alone. But because those performances were very good, it made me invest more with these characters, where on the surface level, I don't think I would have. But that's the power of great acting, and that's the significance of really good acting, is it can take characters that might seem really uninteresting and boring on paper and really elevate them and make them really strong characters. And that's why this movie worked for me. So 3.5 star film. Really enjoyed it. Number 16. Coming in at number 15, I have Black Hawk Down from 2001. Really good war movie by Ridley Scott. Got just a banger cast in it. Everybody and their mother is in this movie. I'm not a big war movie guy. There are a couple of war movies that I love, but they're not really like my go-to genre of film. This one is really good. One of my big issues though with Black Hawk Down is the pacing. I feel like this one goes at 100 RPMs for the entire movie. Like there's no moment to just kind of settle down and spend time with any one character to really invest. Like it jumps from one group of guys to another group of guys to another group of guys to another group of guys, all like so rapidly, and the pacing is just go, 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 go the whole time. Where you look at a war movie like Saving Private Ryan, there's plenty of moments in Saving Private Ryan that are very action driven, but then it will also kind of settle down, let you spend quality time with the characters to really invest in the characters, get to know those characters, kind of get the feeling like you're hanging out with those characters, and then it will, rev up again. This movie, I didn't get that. It was just 100 RPMs all the way through, jumping from group to group to group. And I just didn't feel like I was able to kind of settle down at any point and spend quality time with these characters and really get to know them the way I would have liked to. So that's what keeps this movie down for me. But that, and again, the lack of like any strong rewatch value. But again, based on, true story, enjoyed it. Kudos to those guys, all the respect and appreciation in the world for the brave men that served in that conflict. Black Hawk Down is my number 15. Coming in at number 14, we have 1492, Conquest of Paradise. Movie about Christopher Columbus and him kind of rediscovering America. I say rediscovering because he wasn't the first person to discover America, but kind of rediscovering America and kind of his journey through that. And so just a beautifully shot movie. I really love the cinematography, the practical effects, and the world building that Ridley Scott does here. Really great. I also really invested with Columbus in this movie, and I felt, empathy for the guy. You see his struggle and the problems he faces along the way, and you felt bad for the guy, you felt happy for the guy. I fully invested, and it was a good experience. I liked how the script was written. I thought it was handled well, and it does have rewatch value to me. I could definitely see myself coming back and rewatching this movie. This is the first 4-star film on this movie, on this list, so everything else from here is going to be 4 stars and higher. But yeah, 1492 is my number 14. Coming in number 13, we have Prometheus. We're going back to the Alien franchise here. A great Alien movie in that franchise, one of the best. And yeah, I really enjoyed the direction that Ridley Scott took with this movie, and kind of bringing everything back to its roots, kind of taking it back to that horror element that it was birthed from. I felt like at one point it kind of started going a little more action driven rather than horror driven. I felt like here Ridley Scott was going back more towards horror driven, and I like that as a horror fan. So Prometheus, really good. I love the world building that he created here. The characters I was on board with, I was invested with. I wanted to see what's going to happen. Definitely had some heart to it as well in the third act with what happens. Definitely felt the tension. The tension building was effective. Good score. Great film. Really enjoy Prometheus. Coming in at number 12, we have All the Money in the World from 2017, 4-star film. love this film, guys. Great film. I think it's a movie that definitely has something to say. Has a very clear message there that I think we need to be reminded of. That money isn't the most important thing in life. It's just not. Relationships, family, other people. If we neglect those things and just focus on ourselves, we lose our soul. Forfeit our own soul. A wise man once said, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses in his soul? So I feel like that's kind of the theme here in this movie. Really good film. I thought Mark Wahlberg did a really good job in his performance. The lady, the main actress here, who I forget her name, you guys know how I am with names. She does a really good job, and I enjoyed it. I was definitely invested in the story. I thought the story was very interesting, intriguing. I wanted to see what was going to happen, where it was going to go. I thought there was some heart to it that was definitely paid off, had a good payoff to it, and great performances, again, by the actors that made me invest with their characters. So, and I think because of the message and what this movie has to say, I think that's why it's so impactful to me and is a movie that I love. So All the Money in the World would be my number 12. Number 11, we have Body of Lies from 2008, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. Love me some Russell Crowe. I thought he does really good as the Secret Service agent guy. Very believable in that role. Ridley Scott, again, does a great job directing this movie. Interesting concept and story going on. Very entertaining. For me, though, I've said it before on my channel, I'll say it again. I am not a Leo fan. I cannot stand Leonardo DiCaprio. He is one of my least favorite actors. And anytime he's the lead, which is almost every single time, he has to be the lead in his movies. I'm just, as great as the movie can be, maybe, if he's the front guy, I'm just not going to invest with his character the way that I would with someone else. So, yeah, he really holds this movie back for me. But as a concept, as a story, entertainment-wise, all that was there. Body of Lies would be my number 11. And coming into our top 10 now with number 10, I have The Last Duel from 2021. A great movie. Really loved the performances by the entire cast here. Matt Damon, Adam Driver are kind of the two leads. And another lady, I don't know her name. I'm not too familiar with her. But great performances by everybody. Loved the world building here. Kind of the medieval time period piece. I don't think anyone does a period piece as good as Ridley Scott. Just great job building that setting and that period and that world, putting you in that time period. I felt like I was there, and he does just a great job at transporting you into the time of the period that he's making the film out of. Loved the fight choreography here, was amazing. The costumes look great. The production design looked great. Loved the cinematography here. Just beautiful cinematography. Great camera work and framing. Loved this movie. I think it also had something to say, had some heart, had a message to it, some meaning to it. For me, though, there are a couple things that bring this movie back a little bit. I don't think I needed 2 rape scenes in the film. You could definitely cut at least one of those out, if not both. There's a way to tell us as an audience that she's being raped without actually showing us that, and much less do we need it twice. So I just felt like 2 of those scenes, we didn't need it. We didn't need it. Didn't need to see it. It would have still had a big impact as a viewer, knowing that was happening. I didn't need to see it to feel the empathy for her. So, yeah, there are a couple other issues for me as well, but overall, great film. 4 stars. It's number 10 for me. Coming in at number 9, I have Black Rain. Michael Douglas. Great score, great soundtrack. Loved that, especially that opening soundtrack, just awesome. Loved the character that Michael Douglas plays here. Very much invested in him. Kind of a, crime drama film. And just love the journey and how the script plays out and the story plays out for Michael Douglas's character in the film. Fully invest with him. I'm along for the ride with him, and I want to see what's going to happen. Very engaging film, and has rewatch value to it. In fact, going through Ridley Scott's filmography, ever since I saw Black Rain, I wanted to go back and watch it again. So definitely holds up there too. 4-star film, great movie. Number 9. Coming in at number 8, I have Kingdom of Heaven from 2005. Another kind of period piece epic by Ridley Scott with Orlando Bloom. You also get my boy Liam Neeson showing up. I'm kind of repeating the same beats here on all these now. Great film, great period piece. I think this one has more heart to it than The Last Duel, and there's not the unnecessary type of graphic scenes here that Last Duel obviously had. It just did a little bit more for me. So it was easier to digest for me than Last Duel, and still had the heart, emotion, still has rewatch value. And yeah, Kingdom of Heaven, great film. Number 8. Coming at number 7, we have American Gangster. Another, Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe team up, and really good, kind of a gangster, mob type movie, Ridley Scott style, and it's really entertaining. It's a fun ride. Very much. I'm fully invested with the story and with these characters. You get obviously 2 great performances by Denzel and Russell Crowe, and I think Russell Crowe really has done some of his best work with Ridley Scott. But yeah, he's great in this one. Denzel's great in this one, and as far as like gangster movies, this is this is a good one. It's not gonna be my first choice. Doesn't quite compete with some of the super heavyweights, Godfather, Goodfellas, some of those, but it's still a solid, great movie. Everything there is there. The quality, the emotional effect, and the rewatch value, all of those are there for me with this film. Great movie. Coming in at number 6, we have Robin Hood, and this is a 4.5-star tier movie, so going up another notch here. I love this Robin Hood movie. Definitely the best Robin Hood film, in my opinion. Love the world building of Ridley Scott, the period piece, the setting. Love the performance by Russell Crowe. And yeah, definitely had some heart to it. A couple scenes that really kind of get me in the feels. And some great action fight scenes, great fighting choreography, some gnarly scenes, backed with a great score. I love this movie. I could throw this on right now and just have a blast with it. So yeah, Robin Hood, number 6 for me. And taking us into the top 5 now, I have White Squall at number 5 from 1996. Jeff Bridges and the lead character here. I love this movie, man. This is such a fun, entertaining 2 hours for me. I think Jeff Bridges is just phenomenal in this movie as this captain, sailor of this boat. I fully invest with the kids here. Great group of kids, teenagers. And I really liked the group of kids, man. I really did. I invested with them. I thought they gave good performances, and each had their own kind of personality that was fun and unique to them. And yeah, I just had a great time with them. And again, the setting, the building, the practical effects all looked really good here by Ridley Scott. And then it definitely had some emotion, especially in that third act and the court scene, what happens there. And you see the loyalty and the love for Bridges that the kids have. It's just, it has that emotional punch to it. It's got great characters, great performances, very rewatchable. And yeah, I enjoy just being on that boat with those characters. It gave me a really good time. So White Squall, I highly recommend. Anyone who hasn't checked it out, go do so. Great film. Jeff Bridges is great group of kids. And yeah, I think you're going to go on a really fun adventure and be entertained. So yeah, White Squall, number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have Alien Covenant. Yeah, one of the best Alien movies in my opinion. It's right up there with the 2 I have ahead of it in the Alien franchise. And just a great film. I love David as a character. He's played brilliantly by Fassbender. And this one is probably the darkest Alien movie since the first Alien. And it even, I think, goes a little darker than Prometheus. So it's a sequel to Prometheus. And I think it gets even darker than Prometheus does. And Ridley Scott does a great job, again, building that world. Production design looks great. Cinematography is beautiful. The effects works look really good. The score is great. And that ending, just that really dark ending is, again, I enjoyed. It sticks with you. It definitely sticks with you. Not all the Alien movies stick with you. This one does. And I thoroughly enjoy it, man. Definitely one of my favorite Alien movies and one of Ridley Scott's best. It's number 4, 4.5 stars. Love it. Alien Covenant. And that brings us into the top 3. And I'll just go ahead and say all 3 of these are 5-star films. So they're all what I would consider a perfect film and a masterpiece. Of course, subjectively speaking, I don't think any movie is objectively perfect, but subjectively, all 3 of these are perfect films. But my number 3, I'm going with Blade Runner from 1982, starring Harrison Ford. Just a great ride. A very deep movie. I know some people have watched it and just didn't get anything out of it, but I think there's a very clear meaning to this film. And if you can get there, I think it's very impactful. And just the way that the story is told is brilliant. Great performances by everybody. Rutger Hauer's amazing. And that end scene in that that final act, just beautiful cinematography too, and the world building, everything, it looks gorgeous. And when you get to that last scene and the dialogue by Rutger Hauer, man, it hits. If you know the meaning and you're following along, just a deep meaning to this film, and I love it. And then obviously it's raining during that scene as well, just kind of adding more layers to the story. Just a true masterpiece of cinema. And this movie has gone up for me. I think originally I had this movie at like a 4 or 4.5, and it's gone up to 5 for me as I've thought about it more, watched it more. It's a banger. It's an absolute banger. 5-star masterpiece. I much prefer this one over the sequel, Blade Runner 2049. I don't think is nearly as good as this original one. Still a good film, but it doesn't touch the original Blade Runner, in my opinion. So that's my number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Alien from 1979. One of the best horror movies ever made. I've talked about this movie a lot on my channel, and love this movie. I still think it's the best Alien movie in the franchise. It's my favorite Alien movie in the franchise. 5-star film. Just perfection as far as I'm concerned. Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, one of the best final girls in horror history. The practical effects look amazing. It's got one of the scariest moments in horror when the that xenomorph kind of, the chest burster, just crazy, creepy, scary stuff that sticks with you, man. And the intensity is there. The quality of the filmmaking is absolutely there, and it's super rewatchable as well. Love Alien. 5-star film. It's, still one of my favorite horror films, and it's number 2 for me. But coming in at number 1, of course, I kind of mentioned this last week during the review of this movie, and that is, of course, Gladiator. Love me some Gladiator. I mentioned in my review, this is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It has been for over a decade, and has no plans on leaving my top 10. So yeah, I won't spend a lot of time on Gladiator. If you want to know my in-depth thoughts, go check out the review of it. But it's again, subjectively a perfect film. It's a masterpiece. I love it. Very quotable movie, great action, great choreography, beautiful cinematography. Everything's there. Great score. One of the best movie villains of all time, and Commodus, played brilliantly by Joaquin Phoenix. It's got it all, man. It's got it all, and it is number 1 for me on Ridley Scott's filmography. There you go, guys. That is it. All 29 of Ridley Scott's theatrically feature films ranked. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and go check out Bryan's awesome ranking and Jack's awesome ranking. Give them a sub and a thumbs up. And until then, kick it and rock on.